was my senior year at a well-respected community college near my hometown. Among my courses was an intensive public speaking class with a professor I truly admired. At the beginning of the semester, everything seemed normal. I often had an hour to spare before this class, so I'd find cozy nooks to either study, work on assignments, or watch YouTube. One day, while engrossed in a paper in a secluded spot, I noticed a classmate, Noah, staring at me from the entrance. Ignoring it, I focused on my work until he approached, taking the seat nearby. Noah was a tall, lanky guy with unkempt hair and a habit of wearing the same faded hoodie. He began with mundane weather talk, but his presence made me uneasy. Politely, I mentioned I needed to work, hoping he'd leave. Instead, he fell silent, just watching. Even in class, he sat below me, turning around to stare, making others notice too. This behavior persisted. He seemed to be everywhere I went on campus, always watching. It was unnerving to say the least. The campus wasn't huge, but it had enough nooks and crannies where a person could easily hide. Yet there was Noah, popping up like a persistent shadow. On a day when we were scheduled to give our class presentations, I found myself in a computer lab, trying to finalize my outline. I was hoping for some peace and quiet when Noah showed up, much too close for comfort. He pulled out a new leather belt from his backpack, announcing it was for his speech. I nodded, trying to focus on my work, but he scooted closer, almost invading my personal space. "Watch this," he said, as he inched even closer. His pants brushed against my ear, and I recoiled, mortified. Instinctively, I scooted my chair away, which caught the attention of my friends who were also in the lab. One of them, Nicole, asked what was wrong, and I reluctantly shared the encounter. But with Noah already walking away, there wasn't much that could be done in the moment. My friends were appalled, but we decided to let it go for the time being. However, Noah's behavior only escalated from there. He started following me more blatantly, always managing to show up wherever I was. Sometimes he would try to engage me in conversation. Other times he would simply stand at a distance, watching. One particularly unsettling incident happened at a McDonald's near campus. It was a regular evening, and I decided to grab some dinner on my way home. I opted to go inside rather than use the drive-thru. As I waited for my order, I noticed the cashier glancing nervously toward the window. Curious, I followed her gaze and saw Noah's car parked just outside, his eyes fixed on me through the glass. My stomach twisted into knots as the cashier whispered, "Do you know that guy?" I nodded, feeling a chill run down my spine. Just as my order was ready, Noah got out of his car and started walking toward the entrance. Panic surged through me. The cashier, sensing my fear, said, "If you feel unsafe, I'll hide you in the back and call the police." I thanked her, my heart pounding in my chest. As Noah approached, I made a split-second decision to rush past him, grabbing my food and heading for the door. He tried to talk to me, his voice unnervingly calm, but I didn't stop. I practically ran to my car, locking the doors as soon as I was inside. The drive home was tense, my eyes constantly flicking to the rearview mirror, half expecting to see his car behind me. Thankfully, he didn't follow, but the fear lingered long after I reached home. The next day, I confided in Nicole about the incident at McDonald's and my growing unease. She was appalled and insisted we report Noah's behavior to the student advocate. We sat down with the advocate, and I poured out everything that had happened since the first encounter. To my disbelief, the advocate brushed it off, suggesting I was overreacting. "If he does something to you, touches you, hurts you, then we can investigate and get the police involved for a restraining order," she said dismissively. Nicole and I left the office feeling frustrated and defeated. It was clear the advocate wasn't taking this seriously. That's when we decided to reach out to our mutual friend Amanda. Amanda had her own unsettling story to tell. She had also been targeted by Noah, to the point where he had trapped her in her car, refusing to let her leave until she talked to him. She hadn't reported it, convinced that no one would take her seriously. With this new information, we returned to the student advocate's office, this time accompanied by Amanda. We presented a united front, sharing our experiences and showing that Noah's behavior was a pattern, not isolated incidents. Finally, the advocate relented and agreed to start an investigation. However, as graduation approached for all of us, we never learned the outcome. The last I heard, Noah had stopped attending classes, but the fear of his presence lingered. To this day, I can't shake the feeling of being watched. There's something about Noah's unnerving behavior that goes beyond mere social awkwardness. Was he just a troubled classmate, or was there something darker at play? I may never know, but one thing is certain. I'll always be wary of quiet, watching eyes. The sun was setting on the small town of Salem as the students of Salem University were eagerly preparing for their Halloween party. The campus was buzzing with excitement as costume-clad students made their way to the party venue, the abandoned building on the edge of campus known as the Haunted Dorm. Legend has it that the building was once a mental asylum where patients were subjected to inhumane experiments, but now it was left abandoned, with its windows broken and its walls covered in graffiti. As the night approached, the temperature dropped and the wind began to howl. The students, oblivious to the eerie atmosphere, danced and drank the night away, unaware that they were about to be haunted by the spirits that still lurked in the haunted dorm. One group of friends, Ava, Jack, Lily, and Tyler, decided to explore the dorm and see if the rumors were true. Armed with flashlights, they made their way through the dark corridors, their steps echoing through the empty halls. As they reached the top floor, they came across a room with a sign that read, "Do not enter." Without hesitation, Ava pushed the door open, and they were greeted with a putrid smell that filled the room. It was covered in dusty cobwebs, and the furniture was old and decrepit. In the center of the room was a large contraption, with chains hanging from the ceiling. Suddenly, Tyler noticed a faint whisper coming from the corner of the room. "Did you guys hear that?" he asked as he pointed his flashlight towards the source of the sound. They all heard it, and it sent shivers down their spines. Without thinking, they followed the sound, which led them to a hidden room behind a bookshelf. Inside the room, they found a journal and a voodoo doll hanging from the ceiling. As they flipped through the pages, they read the disturbing stories of the asylum's patients and how they were tortured by the unethical doctors. They also found a page with a list of names, including Ava, Jack, Lily, and Tyler's names. At that moment, the door slammed shut, trapping them inside the room. Their screams echoed through the building as their flashlights went out, leaving them in complete darkness. They could feel a cold presence in the room, and they knew they were not alone. The voodoo doll started to swing violently, and they could hear laughter coming from all around them. Panic set in, and the group tried to force the door open, but it wouldn't budge. They were trapped, and the spirits of the asylum were playing with them. Suddenly, Lily's eyes rolled back, and she began to speak in a strange language. The others watched in horror as she levitated off the ground, still speaking in tongues. Ava and Jack grabbed onto Tyler's arms, begging him to help them. But before he could do anything, they were thrown across the room by an invisible force. The spirits were getting stronger, and their intentions were not good. In a moment of desperation, Tyler remembered the voodoo doll hanging from the ceiling. He grabbed it and threw it to the ground, causing it to shatter into pieces. And just like that, the spirits disappeared, and Lily dropped to the ground, gasping for air. Shaken and terrified, the friends quickly left the dorm and ran back to their dorms. They were too scared to tell anyone what had happened, fearing that they wouldn't be believed. But from that day on, they never stepped foot in the haunted dorm again. Years went by, and the friends graduated from Salem University and moved on with their lives. But they never forgot the terrifying experience they had in the haunted dorm. From time to time, they would receive letters with voodoo dolls inside, reminding them that the spirits were still there, waiting for their next victims. The haunted dorm still stands, a reminder of the gruesome past of Salem University. And on Halloween night, the spirits of the asylum patients are said to roam the halls, seeking revenge on anyone who dares to disturb their eternal rest. So if you ever find yourself on the campus of Salem University, remember to steer clear of the haunted dorm. The ghosts are waiting, and they are not to be disturbed. I have always loved scary stories, especially those involving the paranormal. Little did I know, my own college experience would turn into a true creepy college paranormal story. It all started during my first semester at college when I was 20. I moved into an old dormitory, known for its dark history. Legend has it, a student committed suicide in one of the rooms many years ago. Some students claim to have seen her ghost walking the halls at night. At first, I didn't believe the rumors. I thought they were just stories to scare freshmen. But that all changed when I moved into my room, the very room where the girl supposedly took her life. At first, everything seemed normal. But as the nights went on, I began to experience strange phenomena. I would wake up in the middle of the night to find my roommate's things moved around the room. I brushed it off as her sleepwalking, but it kept happening. Then I started hearing whispering voices coming from the corner of the room. It sounded like someone was trying to communicate with me, but I couldn't make out what they were saying. One night, I woke up to find my roommate was not in her bed. I heard whispers coming from the bathroom, so I cautiously got up and went to investigate. As I approached the bathroom door, it slammed shut, trapping my roommate inside. I could hear her screaming and banging on the door, but it wouldn't budge. After a few minutes of struggling, the door suddenly swung open, and my roommate stumbled out, pale and terrified. She swore someone or something had held her captive in the bathroom and whispered threatening messages in her ear. From then on, strange things started happening every night. Objects would fly off the shelves. My clothes would be found shredded in the morning, and I would often wake up to find my roommate's bed soaked in what appeared to be blood. But the most chilling experience happened one night when I was alone in the room. I was studying for an exam when I heard a faint singing coming from the bathroom. It sounded like a lullaby, but there was something eerie about it. I cautiously approached the bathroom and looked inside. To my horror, I saw the ghostly figure of a young girl in a white nightgown standing in the corner, singing to herself. I ran out of the room, screaming, and never stepped foot in that dorm again. To this day, I still shudder at the thought of that night. I never found out the truth behind the haunting, but one thing is for sure, our college was no ordinary place. It was a playground for the paranormal. And I, unfortunately, became a part of its twisted game.